So in my opinion, indie games have really started to stand alone among a lot of these AAA games, really showing where the real innovation is. With that, I'm going to show you in this video the best games to watch in 2022 and beyond, and we're going to see some awesome indie titles. With that, 98% of you haven't subscribed to one of the most unique indie game channels on all of YouTube, so go ahead, hit that red button, and let's jump into it. So game developers have been obsessed with this idea of the old Wild West world filled with cowboys and guns, but I really think it's time someone modernized it or maybe made it weird. Coming from the developers behind the massive hits of Dishonored and Prey, Weird West is an action RPG title set in a fantasy world where you play alternatively between 5 different characters whose fates are intertwined, and you have to make sure they find their way back together. Each choice that you make in this game changes the course of the character storyline, which really makes every encounter in this game unique and unfolds the story in a different way. I guess that's exactly where this title of the game came from. Luckily, we're not going to have to wait to find out too much more about this game, as it is set to release pretty soon in March of this year. Now, the story of the game Replaced is you play Reach, an artificial intelligence trapped in a human body against its own will, set in a cyberpunk-inspired world. The combat is a free-flow experience set in a single-player story mixed with what has to be described as potentially one, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful art styles I think I've seen in all of indie games. Replaced for me is at near the top of my list for games to watch for. The pixel art here is just absolutely top-notch. Honestly, I think I can stare and watch gameplay of this all day, mixed with an incredibly intriguing storyline. To say that I'm excited for this game would be an absolute understatement. Now, Akatori's on this list for a few reasons. The blend of fast action, smooth animations, full-blown Metroidvania, plus the obviously pixel goodness, it's really blending in a lot of really extremely exciting things. Now here you play as Mako, set to save the world, and you can gracefully switch between 2 parallel dimensions to accomplish your goals. So there's like this unique mechanic of this 2D platformer, and then the ability to just kind of shift all of it. What really stands out to me though is Mako using her trusty weapon, the beautiful animations with the combo style fighting, and guys, I really think this one should be on your radar if it isn't already. Moving on to a game that's more soothing and peaceful. What could be more soothing than a visual novel about the struggles of making friends after moving to a new countryside town? Call Me Sarah lets you play as Sarah, who after a rough breakup decides to move to someplace quieter, where she starts therapy and gets a job at a local coffee shop. Now this game offers a diverse community that shows a mix of cultures, which makes the whole experience a lot more lively. It also focuses on making the interactions as real as possible. But unlike other visual novels, Call Me Sarah rewards logical choices over friendly ones, as her therapist recommends friendships can't be forced. I mean, who doesn't love a setting with a dark world and horrific monsters? Guys, there's no way this game is flying under my radar. Crow Swarm is probably the most polished and gorgeous action Metroidvania that you're gonna see coming up in the years ahead. Coming from Mongoose Rodeo, Crow Swarm takes you to the cursed land of Firindal that once used to be this glorious kingdom, but now all you see are the remnants of the past as you venture through this land to find salvation and discover the truth. Looking at the early gameplay footage, I can really tell this title is definitely going to be ranked up there, maybe even up there with Hollow Knight, and this is a game absolutely worth checking out once it releases. A Spark in the Dark, and this one might be one of the most anticipated on this list. It's featuring a dark dungeon crawling Souls-like, a roguelike type of experience with permadeath, 5 heroes to choose from, and many things to uncover in the ancient dungeon. The game has procedural generation, so each time you'll get a new dungeon with new monsters, equipment, stats, and even loot. The combat to me looks very precise, very purposeful, and of course very Souls-like, and you'll of course be exploring and covering secrets. Leveling and even trying to survive will definitely be key. There's no official date for this one, but it does have a demo on the Steam store, so we'll definitely keep an eye out on this one. Now, I can't think of a more innovative turn-based strategy game than Inculinati. This game literally lets you find battles on medieval manuscripts with historical characters and their supernatural powers. From the destructive catapults with fireballs to rabbits' bums, everything is fair in this ancient war. Inculinati is a unique combination of turn-based combat filled to the brim with hilarious puns. If you guys are looking for a good laugh or two while actually enjoying the gameplay, I think this is a title for you. Now, a mix between JRPG, cyberpunk, and story-rich turn-based action, Jack Move has you taking on the role of Noah, a vigilante hacker who is thrusted into the world of murder, kidnapping, and dark research, all the while trying to figure out what happened to her missing father. The gorgeous pixel art style, the fun turn-based combat, and this setting really, for me, makes a recipe of a game that I'm super excited to play this year. Now, another indie title that's really had a lot of popularity is Little Devil Inside. From the very first moment that I laid my eyes in this game, I have to say I just fell in love. It's an upcoming action-adventure title that revolves around the story of a passionate explorer trying to find the mystical creatures in the wilderness. Now, this game offers many survival elements mixed with a vast open world and a slew of massive creatures that are always looking to hunt you down and, well, take you out. The game also uses this cool tilt-shifting effect to turn the scale of the world down with a bird-eye view when the player travels across the map, and I honestly think this is a fascinating game and one to absolutely watch out for. So I have to say, I love games with just massive gore and brutal executions, and I think this list is definitely in need of a game just like that, and it's going to be Midnight Fight Express. It's a 2D top-down action combat game with the old-school brawler experience, where every move your character makes is accurately motion captured. And speaking of moves, you can use anything from punches, kicks, throws, objects, or just blaze your way through enemies with guns. Now, as you progress through the game, you can unlock new moves, cool looking cosmetics, and even new weapons to aid in your journey. Midnight Fight Express is expected to release sometime in the summer of 2022. Now, Moodra is a game that immediately I describe as if Metroid and the Alien franchise decided to have a baby. You can tell the game is heavily inspired by the Metroid franchise, as you play as an alien soldier set to investigate the incidents on a planet, but you end up getting separated from your squad, and you end up digging deeper into this unknown. This fast-paced combat, somewhat unique visuals, character upgrade system, and boss fights, guys, I think is a blend of awesomeness, and it's why this game is making near the top list for an indie game to watch out for. But we might not see it until 2023. Either way, I'm definitely anticipating this one. Now, certainly a different game on this list, and not even a genre I typically feature often. Norco is a point-and-click cinematic pixel art story-rich game that brings you into a sci-fi world where your brother Blake has gone missing after your mother's death. You hope to find him throughout New Orleans. It's really a fascinating game that has you solving puzzles, infiltrating cults, and taking on a unique adventure, and one I'm absolutely happy adding to this list. So have you ever thought about playing as a person that cleans up for the mob? Well, you have that here in Serial Cleaners, and you heard that correctly. Serial killers have now become a thing of the past. The world is in badly need of serial cleaners to clean up the entire mess. This game really pays homage to the old 90s cult movies, where you play as one of 4 shady cleaners whose job it is to clean up the mess from murder scenes for the mob. Each of the 4 characters offers a unique and diverse skill set that comes in handy when things get a little dark and messy. I totally dig this whole classic 90s setting with an open-ended map designs and tons of challenging problems to solve in whatever you deem necessary. I love this game, and it definitely is one that's on my radar. So I'm sure a lot of you have heard of the game Superhot, and if that's a game that you really enjoyed, you guys are in luck, because Shady Knight offers a similar fast-paced, intense combat, alternating between weapons like a flashy sword or deadly bow or arrow to slay your enemies. That, combined with a sick bullet time mechanic, makes everything look super cool. Shady Knight is definitely one of the best indie games to look forward to this year, especially if you just enjoy thrilling, mindless combat more than just a storyline. Now, you might be familiar with the game Sons of Valhalla, as it's absolutely inspired by the game Kingdom, but in Sons of Valhalla, you're going to be playing the role of a Viking Jarl's son Thorold, who is leaving England to save the love of his life after his village was burned down and his father was killed. That's pretty heavy, but in Sons of Valhalla, you're going to be getting this awesome mix of action battles with real-time strategy. Meanwhile, you're building up your fortresses and building up that steady flow for your army. I think this game has a crap ton of potential. The pixel art here to me is gorgeous, and personally, guys, I'm really excited to dive into this one. Now, honestly, I think one of the biggest indie titles, if not the very biggest on this list, is this game because of how much mainstream appeal this one has. Stray is a game that puts you in the cute little paws of a cat as you explore the perils of the modern world. The game is set in a fictional sci-fi city filled with robots where you have to untangle the ancient mystery to find your way back to your lost family. I love the story, I love the presentation of this game, and it really makes you feel really connected to the poor soul and the struggle that she faces in this world. And I love the fact that the game is just so mysterious. All the things that she ends up interacting with too, the robots and how she performs these very simple tasks. This game is very interesting and one of the most unique indie games I think I've ever seen. I'm not sure about you guys, but something about a dark, evil, infested environment has always fascinated me, and The Last Faith is exactly that type of game that could satisfy my craving and maybe even yours. It's an exploration-based Metroidvania title with a deep gothic theme that has you playing as Eric, who has to reveal the truth behind the prophecy and clean up this corrupted city full of bloodthirsty monsters. Now, I just love this quick and impactful combat with more than enough weapon choices and smooth animations that really hit the spot. The Last Faith is a full-on package with a compelling storyline, incredible detailed gothic art style, fluid combat, and really a lot more. Definitely a game worth putting down on your list. Now, The Unliving is a game that gets me absolutely hype, and it's a similar game if you've ever heard of the game Undead Horde, only this beautiful pixel art indie roguelike has you playing a fearsome necromancer who raises the dead to burn cities and slay epic bosses. The cool thing here is when you kill these silly humans, you can raise them up as your own army, and you just continue this loop as you destroy the world and become completely evil. But I have to say the art style is gorgeous, and seeing so many enemies and characters on the screen is just epic. The gameplay looks fantastic and even chaotic in a good way. The game itself just seems like a great one to dive into and have fun for a while. If you haven't had The Unliving in your radar, I think now's that time. Now, Thymesia is an incredibly detailed action RPG title set in an eerie, dark environment straight really out of a Hollywood movie. Everything from fast-paced and super intense combat to cool-looking visual effects is just spot on in this game. Indie games like this one are the ones to really showcase the potential of indie developers. Now, the combat is definitely where the game shines the brightest, and it seems you have to be your absolute best to beat or parry those quick attacks, otherwise you're just gonna die. Thymesia doesn't have a fixed release date just yet, but I'm hoping it will be coming out later this year. You definitely want to stay tuned for this one. Now, Tunic's been around for a while in early access, and gamers have been really liking this game. I've been following this one for quite some time now, and I'm super thrilled that the developers have finally announced a release date, and it's not too far from now. Everything about this game, from the cute visuals to real-time combat to the compelling story, has been absolutely mesmerizing. I also love how the developers have created the sense of mystery in the game, using ancient runes, symbols, and structures around the world for players to stay fascinated and really keeping intrigued with the story and the world. I'm excited for this one and can't wait to see this one this year. Wizard with a Gun is an online cooperative sandbox survival action roguelike set in a magical wilderness with dangerous creatures and arcane mysteries. You can play this solo or with friends. You'll be collecting, you'll be crafting, outfitting your wizard however you want. The game does feature randomly generated biomes, magical weapon crafting, and enchanted ammunition for your arsenal of guns. Honestly, here, this gameplay looks super fast, super fluid, and super good. I'm excited for this one, and it's near the top of my list as it releases sometime in 2022. I certainly wanted to save the best for last, and that comes in the form of Cult of Lamb. Right away, to me, this story is fascinating. You play as a possessed lamb saved from annihilation by a stranger, only you must repay the debt by building a loyal following in his name. You start your own cult, you lead your flock of loyal worshippers, and your goal is to collect resources to build new structures, perform dark arts, and lead your people, all the while destroying any non-believers. The visuals, the game's theme, to me are all top-notch. The gameplay looks excellent. This is easily my very most anticipated roguelike of 2022. So Have a Nice Death is a 2D action roguelike where you play as overworked Death, whose employees have run rampant. Now you'll have to grab your scythe and show them who's boss. Immediately, what draws me to this game is the art style, kind of like that bland color in the background, but the colorful attacks really make the game pop. The game is procedurally generated, the combat is very fast paced. What's different here is that your death itself, you can't die, but you'll learn from each encounter, you'll get a grade afterwards, and then you'll repeat after each run to unlock more things that'll help you progress through your playthrough. This one is set to release on March 8th in early access. Now guys, one of my favorite indie games of the past few years has been the game called Far Lone Sails. And I'm being completely honest with you when I say this, I hate puzzle games. Yet when I played Lone Sails, I was blown away by what was some of the most clever puzzles, beautiful visuals, and atmospheric experience I got with the game. Far Changing Tides is the new one, bringing in that sequel with new environments, new puzzles, new ship mechanics, and even deeper challenges. If a game like this can convert someone like myself to a big fan of a franchise that features fully puzzles, and guys, I hate puzzles, what does that tell you about this series? This is a must for me to play, though I will say the last game was far too short and I finished it in just mere hours. I'm really hoping this one brings a little bit of a longer adventure. Now, probably one of the few indie games that is pretty universally known and almost treated like a AAA title in terms of just pure anticipation, you can't afford to miss out on Hollow Knight Silksong. And as we know, Hollow Knight literally defined the Metroidvania genre, and I can't be more excited to tell you that the next line and sequel here to this awesome title is already on its way. Hollow Knight Silksong holds the same charming look, and of course, our beloved Hollow Knight Hornet Queen seems to come packed with some cool new tricks. The game also features a new kingdom that goes through mossy grottos to coral forests to misted moors, where you have to fight against a slew of challenging enemies from assassins to kings. The graphics, as usual, guys, look exceptionally gorgeous, especially with all the cool visual effects. I have high hopes for this sequel. I'm sure you guys do as well. We'll just have to wait for that release date, but man, this is the game, the absolute #1 game to watch for here in the coming months and years ahead. With that, guys, if you want more suggestions of amazing roguelike games to come out this year, click this video up here and make sure you're subscribed by hitting that notification bell.